From home security cameras to Bluetooth connected toys and thermostats, our homes have become a lot smarter in recent years. This also means they're more susceptible to hackers who can potentially break into your home tech network. Last week, the Biden administration announced a new initiative that's aimed at helping that, but it won't go into effect until next year. But what should consumers do in the meantime with this? So here with tips, CNET senior editor Nick Wolny. Thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know, besides the hacking situation, I do find it interesting. Companies can also use it. I remember a few years ago, Roomba, where they were tracking people's space in the house and sending the data to home department stores and things where then you'd get ads. This is a real concern for people of how much information is being gathered by all these devices.
And I think the government is really wanting to just help consumers get calibrated on what's actually happening with their devices. So the Cyber Trust Mark initiative, this is the Biden administration's new initiative. Think of it as the Energy Star initiative, but for cybersecurity. So you know how when you go to buy an appliance, you see the little Energy Star emblem, it's very clear, and you know that when you buy that, it's going to be energy efficient, you can plug that appliance in and it's not going to jack up your electricity bill, right? So this is like the cybersecurity version of that's rolling out.
So it's not necessarily changing the device itself or what is being gathered in the device. It's just letting you know that this is a potential risk.
Right. And it's also establishing standards for what is considered to be cyber secure. What happened during the pandemic is people began to buy a lot more of these smart home devices. Smart home became more of a mainstream thing just as people were at home all day. And as a result, you had almost a sort of gold rush that happened with devices and products. And you had some products that made it to market that are actually not very secure. It's quite easy for hackers to get in. Could be things like discount thermostats or even toys. Toys are some of the most common ways that hackers get in. They get in through these smart toys that maybe weren't thinking so much about data security when they were designing the toy.
Well, right. And I have to imagine, too, you know, you look at your Wi-Fi, you put a secure password on it, but you're not thinking about the refrigerator, the thermostat, you know, putting passwords on all of these different devices.
Right. And when a hacker is able to get in on one of these devices that is on your home's network, they can then use that network, because the network technology has gotten more sophisticated as well. So they can actually use that network and get into some other devices. We've had horror stories of hackers getting in and then talking to babies through the baby monitors, you know, because they got in through some other device. So that's something to know as well from a tech perspective, is that the network has gotten more interconnected. You probably noticed that on your devices as well. It's easier to control things even in different rooms of the house. That also means that a hacker is going to be able to do that as well if they get into your network.
That's so interesting. And that's, you know, you hear of so many parents who don't go with the video monitor because they heard about this, but then maybe unnecessarily are opening themselves up in other places that you're not thinking about.
Right. And so I think that's something else that's good to keep in mind, is that it may not have so much to do with the hardware. It may have more to do with the software. You know, with smart devices, there's going to be software updates, you know, as hackers find new ways to get into these devices. That's why you get updates for things like apps. You might want to set up automatic updates for that reason, so that you don't have to be thinking about the updates. Whenever there's a patch that comes out, you know, version 1.2.5, that's closing a door that a hacker could otherwise get in. So
it's not just trying to bug you.
Exactly. Though it may do that, but that's another good reason to set up the automatic updates. Usually when app updates are rolling out or when software updates are rolling out, it's not just to add features, it's also to close some of these new openings that have appeared. And so when you get that prompt for a software update, just go ahead and take care of it, and that's actually going to help you be taken care of.
I think so many people want the technology. They don't necessarily understand how it all works and how it's all connected. Is this a huge problem?
I think so, because more devices have made their way into households, again, particularly because of the pandemic. But beyond that, it's just the quality of the devices that has started to change a lot. Regarding the Cyber Trust Mark initiative, a lot of the biggest manufacturers are already on board. Apple, Google, Amazon, LG, Samsung, Logitech.
Oh, great.
You know, most of that very mainstream technology, they were already upholding those really high cybersecurity standards anyway. And so they're going to have no problem getting their great little shield logo on their packaging starting next year. But for some of these other items, particularly toys, particularly, you know, smaller appliances, especially as consumers, we might look for the more discounted option rather than the name brand option. It's just good to know that that might be something you want to take into consideration. And also monitoring your apps, monitoring your devices, using if there's an app technology or something like that. That way, if something fishy is going on, you can catch it quickly and you can take care of it.
All really good things to think about. I know I'm going to be thinking about it later this afternoon. Nick, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it. You can find more information about CNET by going to kcalnews.com, clicking Seen on TV.